My name is Grace Hoffman, and I'm 34 years old. For 11 years, I'd been a ghost to my family. Not dead, just invisible in a different way. I'd left home at 23, moved across the country, and built a life they knew nothing about. The wedding invitation arrived at my small apartment in Seattle on a Tuesday afternoon. Cream-colored, elegant, expensive, Emily Hoffman and Jonathan Pierce request the honor of your presence. My little sister was getting married. There was no personal note inside, just the formal invitation. I wasn't sure if it had been sent out of obligation or if someone had simply found my address and added me to the list without much thought. Either way, after staring at it for 3 days, I decided to go. The flight to Connecticut was long, giving me plenty of time to remember why I'd left in the first place. Growing up, I'd been the difficult one, the daughter who asked too many questions, who didn't fit the mold, who chose art school over law school. My parents, Barbara and William, had made their disappointment clear. Emily, 4 years younger, had been everything they wanted. Perfect grades, perfect manners, perfect choices. By the time I left, we barely spoke. They didn't try to stop me. I'm not even sure they noticed I was gone. The wedding was held at the Riverside Country Club. Naturally, everything gleamed. The white chairs arranged in perfect rows. The flowers cascading from every surface. The guests in their designer clothes and practiced smiles. I wore a simple green dress I'd bought at a consignment shop and kept to the back, arriving just as the ceremony was starting. No one turned to look at me. No one recognized me. I'd changed, I suppose. I'd cut my hair short, lost the extra weight I'd carried from stress and unhappiness. More than that, I'd learned to hold myself differently, with a quiet confidence that comes from building a life on your own terms. The ceremony was beautiful. Emily looked radiant in a gown that probably cost more than I'd made in 6 months. My mother dabbed at her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. My father stood tall and proud, the picture of patriarchal satisfaction. I felt like I was watching strangers. At the reception, I found a seat at a table in the back, near the edge of the tent. The place card next to mine read Grace Hoffman, but no one seemed to connect that name with the woman sitting there. I was just another guest, another body filling a seat, the table filled with distant cousins and family friends I vaguely remembered. They made polite conversation, asked what I did, how I knew the family. When I said I was Emily's sister, they looked confused. Emily has a sister. One woman said, I thought she was an only child. Before I could respond, the best man stood to give his toast, then the maid of honor, then my father, his speech full of pride and love for his precious girl, his only joy, his only joy. The words echoed in my chest. I should have left then, but something kept me in that chair. Maybe stubbornness, maybe the last thread of hope that someone would see me. Then the DJ announced a special moment. We have a surprise performance tonight. Emily, this is from someone who's traveled a very long way to be here. The lights dimmed, a screen lowered, and a video began to play. It was footage of Emily and me as children, laughing in our backyard, building sandcastles at the beach, reading books together in a blanket fort. I didn't even know this footage existed. Someone had edited it carefully, set it to gentle music. Then my voice came through the speakers. A recording I'd made on my phone the night before, sitting in my hotel room. Emily, I said, I'm your sister Grace. I know it's been a long time. I know I've been away, and I know you've built a beautiful life. I just wanted you to know that I remember the little girl who used to follow me everywhere, who used to make me friendship bracelets, who used to believe I could do anything. I hope you're happy. I hope you found what you're looking for, and I hope someday we can talk again. The video ended with a photo of us as teenagers, arms around each other. Before everything fell apart, the tent was completely silent. Emily stood up from the head table, her hand over her mouth. She was scanning the crowd, searching. When her eyes finally landed on me, she froze. "Grace!" she whispered. But in the silence, everyone heard it. I stood up slowly, my heart pounding. She moved toward me like she was in a dream, threading through the tables. When she reached me, she just stared, tears streaming down her face. "You came," she said. "You really came." "Of course I came," I replied softly. "You're my sister." She pulled me into a hug so tight I could barely breathe. "I thought you hated us. I thought you never wanted to see us again." "I never hated you," I said into her hair. "I just couldn't be who they wanted me to be." My mother appeared then, her face pale. "Grace, is that really you?" I nodded. She looked older than I remembered, smaller somehow, more fragile. "Why didn't you tell us you were coming?" she asked, and there was something broken in her voice. "Would it have mattered?" I asked gently. She didn't answer right away. Then quietly, "Yes, it would have mattered very much." My father stood back watching. His face was unreadable. That same stoic expression I remembered from my childhood, the one that never quite revealed what he was feeling. Emily held my hand tightly. "Where have you been? What have you been doing? I've missed you so much." We sat down at my small table, and I told her about my life in Seattle, about the community art center I'd built from nothing, about the children I taught to paint and draw, about the murals we'd created in struggling neighborhoods, about finding purpose and peace in the life I'd chosen. "You did it," Emily said, her eyes shining. "You became exactly who you wanted to be. And you?" I asked. "Are you happy?" She looked back at Jonathan, her new husband, who was watching us with a gentle smile. "I am. But Grace, I've missed you every single day. Mom and Dad, they wouldn't talk about you. They acted like you'd never existed. It hurt so much." My mother had been standing nearby, listening. She sank into a chair beside us. "I'm sorry," she said, and her voice cracked. "I'm so sorry, Grace. We thought we were doing what was best. We thought if we pushed hard enough, you'd become successful by our definition. We didn't understand that you already were successful, just in a way we couldn't see." My father finally approached. He looked at me for a long moment. "You look well," he said stiffly. "I am well," I replied. "I saw the website," he said quietly. "For your art center. Someone showed it to me last year. The children's work displayed there, the community programs. It's remarkable." I stared at him surprised. "You looked me up?" "Of course I did," he said. "You're my daughter." Something in his voice broke open a door I'd thought was permanently closed. "I made a mistake," he continued, and now his eyes were wet. "I spent years believing there was only one path to success, only one way to live a meaningful life. I was wrong. You found your own way, and it's beautiful. I should have told you that 11 years ago. I'm telling you now." The wedding celebration continued around us, but at that small table near the back, something larger was happening. We were stitching together the torn pieces of a family, slowly and carefully, with honesty instead of thread. Emily insisted I move to the head table for dinner. My parents sat on either side of me, asking questions about my life with a hunger that spoke of 11 lost years. Later, as the dancing started, Emily pulled me onto the floor. We danced like we had as children, silly and free, laughing until we cried. "Will you stay?" she asked. "For a few days? I want Jonathan to really know you. I want us to have time." "I'd like that," I said. My mother tapped my shoulder. "May I?" she asked. Emily stepped back, and I found myself dancing with my mother for the first time since I was a little girl. "I know I can't get those years back," she said, "but could we start again? Could we try?" I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw not the critical judge of my youth, but a woman who'd made mistakes and was brave enough to admit them. "Yes," I said, "we can try." My father cut in eventually, his movements stiff and formal, but his hand on my back was gentle. "Your mother's been keeping a room for you," he said. "All these years." She called it the guest room, but everything in it is yours. Your books, your old paintings. She couldn't let go. I hadn't known that. I'd imagined they'd erased me completely. "Come home sometimes," he said. "Not to stay, just to visit. Let us know you. Let us be part of your life, if you'll have us." As the evening wound down, I stood with Emily under the stars. She leaned her head on my shoulder. "You know what I realized tonight?" she said. "You were always the brave one. You left to find yourself. I stayed because I was afraid to disappoint them, but you showed me that it's okay to choose your own path. You can still choose," I told her. "Every day is a choice." She squeezed my hand. "I'm glad you came back." "Me too," I said, and I was, because sometimes the greatest gift we can give ourselves is the chance to reconnect, to forgive, to begin again. I'd shown up to my sister's wedding after 11 years, anonymous and forgotten, but I left as Grace Hoffman, daughter, sister, artist, teacher, seen, known, and loved for exactly who I was. That was worth every mile I'd traveled, both away and back again.